Hello and welcome. It is the end of the third day of December 2018. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. Any bets, trades from this video? Well, it's all within your own risk and your own reward. Okay, continuation of correcting throughout this 18, and as I've been stating, it's hard to trust after a decent sized leg move on the short term. Any of these rallies that come up to the 18, a lot of time, well, these markets usually often will need some time to heal from these downtrends. And as it was breaking down, my next target level is 3,000. So there's nothing for me to change it as it continues to decline within the 18. On Monday's session, it ended up falling below, breaking down below the 18 average of lows. It also barely broke down below a key level of support. When we take a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that there's a couple layers of key support. One, we have it pretty much where current price action is in here, which is this little low area here, representing the 11 o'clock and then the 11 p.m. Levels of those two times. And then the next key level, of course, the previous area of support in which that it had right there multiple times. So if they're going to resist this area and come down, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you have a little bit of support test, but I fully expect that there's a high probable chance of market's going to go to 3,000. It's going to do what it's going to do, and I'm just going to let my orders play in from that as I've got buy orders ready to go near the equivalency of Bitcoin 3,000. And let's continue on with Theta, and I'm selling again as I started selling at 17 and a half. I haven't checked, but I should have two sell orders hit by now. Let's just see where we are, because I haven't looked at this chart in like a half an hour, 20 minutes. Or I looked at it last when it was at around here, 1925, so a half hour. It just keeps going up right now, and it's got decent volatility. Volume comes in, and it just still keeps on pumping to the upside. The movement is 1577. Up now to close to 1900, so that's a differential of 300 plus points. So we're already at 20% as it's having a beautiful straight up move. 1 minute term time frame, I can actually see some interesting things. 1, 2, 3 times the 18 average of lows has been support. So very good gains. Overextended, of course, but these things can fly and go, of course, when they're ready to do so, as was the case here on this time frame. Just a huge move. As I've been stating, it's very important to hold where these two lines are in this general area. So far so good, but if you see with something like this breaking above the 18 average, and that can be big. The next level of resistance, I think, would be somewhere around the 2200 or so area as this is playing through. Let's move on to OST, which has got a pretty nice setup. And we'll start off within the daily term time frame on such, which from the time it was at these lows below the 18, it had a couple days getting up to the 18 average of highs, but didn't resist it, and rather it supported it, because after the completion of the 28th day of November, the next day it managed to establish level resistance at a little over 700, and then coming back within the next day to the 18 average of highs, spending 2 days consolidating within such. But 2 days ago on Sunday, breaking out above the 18 average of highs and closing above today's session. It did come back down to such, but it also closed in that area. And now we have the 18 average looking like to start to rise pretty nicely, especially if it's able to hold in the area where it is right now, of the 18 lows of 656. And the 18 average of highs would start rising well, especially if it can get above or above the 730, 750 area. And as this plays out on the shorter term time frame, let's first look at this on the hourly. This is a spot where you have a break above this point, come back down the 18 lower highs. So maybe this thing might be cooling off on a shorter term level. If we look at this on a 4-hour time frame, so be it, because the 18 average of lows has been very good support. So if this comes back down to 656, that would be totally awesome. But within these markets, when they're ready to go, I oftentimes like to see it breaking out above, like around 7, and this is a big way to go as we stand right now. But breaking out above 753 to 765 area, that's when you're noticeably above this layer of resistance. And you usually have decent sized gains, and I'd be thinking this thing would be going up in the nice 800s. So we'll see how this thing plays through. If it does happen to sell off, right now the 18 average of lows is sitting at around 580. Very easily could go there, and that's pretty much a must-hold area after making this statement that it's looking to revert the trend given its success that it's had within the 18 average of highs. So that's technical analysis. I'm going to move on to computer programming. I've been talking about that for several days, including earlier showing how results were with XBY. And interestingly, I finished doing it and I just walked around and I was thinking to myself, you know what? I could have just programmed that into a spreadsheet rather than use a basic programming language. Already knowing I have one problem that's going to probably hit me, which it kind of did, although another problem did as well. And that it would also be easier just because if I'm downloading spreadsheets of data, I could just easily just paste the data into it and get results easy. I can get better. It's a better look at looking at a spreadsheet than the black screen. I can give myself more data, and it could be a lot better. So I'm going to switch it over to a spreadsheet, but I'll show you what I mean within the problem and what I want to do. This is the program, and I ran it with ZCL, and it worked fine with ZCL. So what I would do in here, and interesting results in here. I tried the short term selling for a 10% move is which I would put in here. And if it goes big, maybe sell for 30%, maybe buy back at 8% down, and maybe again if it has maybe a 75% reduction. And there was a 14x move. And then I did something like 1.5x, maybe 3x, buy back at say 6 and 0.4. Actually, I got about 20 doing it one way, and then a lot of them were 10. But it worked. And then I tried doing this with Litecoin. First problem. I have 1,200 days. And I've seen this problem before when I copy and paste. It can only handle so many. Like around 1,200. It couldn't. I had 1,688. And it just kind of crashed when I ran it. So I reduced it to 12 and it didn't crash. But not for this reason. But it did crash as I get a divide 0 error. And this is just, wow, it worked. I know it's not going to work because it's going to run the thing and we're going to get the divide error thing. Yeah, I know it's not working. So let's just put a whatever number in here, 1.2, 1.6, 0.85, 0.5. And right here, attempted to divide by 0. And I can't figure this one out for the life of me. What I was thinking was one of these numbers was 0. And it could only mathematically be the close for it to be a problem. And I searched for such and, well, I couldn't find it. So, spreadsheet programming. What we're going to do is put it on that. And it's going to be very easy because the first thing you do is you insert data. Of course, you can have the spreadsheet ready, but you need data on the first few columns of high, low, and close. And then within that, you're going to have it set to buy and sell at those same two variables. So I put the columns in there. So buy and sell orders that would hit. And then the next column, so I would basically go check everything else, add and reduce the amount of coins that you would have, check end of day. I could do that very, very easily. Okay, what am I worth at the end of the day? I'm supposed to be worth 1. Oh, I'm worth 1.1. I got to sell some, stuff like that. And furthermore, I want to be able to do stuff where I can even, so I'm trying to think of even this type of part for selling. Let's just assume I own 1,000 coins of something. And my computer is telling me that at a certain price pivot point, I need to sell 169, we'll say, 169. So what I will do is maybe sell 180, something a little higher, or maybe sell like 5-7% more. Or if, say for example, I want to buy, I buy something that's worth 1 Bitcoin, the altcoin. Now and I want to sell for a 20% gain. So if it goes from, say, 1 to 1 point, like the market goes to 1 to 1.2, then I want to sell maybe like 1.23 or 1.24 worth. A little bit more. Try maybe 1.28 and see what works. Meaning, what would happen after I sell it, it's going to be worth like 0.97 or 0.96. But that also means when the buyback comes in, I'm going to do a little bit better on my transaction trade. However, if this thing keeps going higher, then my sell orders that would transpire later would not be quite as good. So I'm going to transition this next into the spreadsheet. I won't be working on it tonight. It's 8 o'clock. I've been doing a lot of computer programming and stuff like that today, so I'm just going to relax for the rest of the night. And I'll be back again tomorrow with a Crypto Day morning next. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.